more often than not, if their current person is not a certified financial planner professional, and I'll add to that a registered investment advisor, right? Because we're fiduciaries. I have to do what's in the client's best interest by law, both as a registered investment advisor, and I also have to do the same as a CFP, certified financial planner. So many people in my profession don't have to do what's in the client's best interest. Right? It's like car sales. Does a car salesman have to do what's in the client's best interest or the dealer's best? Imagine if cars...
Welcome to today's Retirees with Certified Financial Planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. Anchored in family values, Wayne offers practical advice to help you get the most out of your retirement years. For more information, visit today'sretirees.com. Now, here's your host.
And welcome to today's Retirees with Certified Financial Planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. You know, we've been doing this show now for several years, and as we have done this show, you probably have heard information. It's great information, by the way. You know, how long have we been doing this? 10 years? I can't remember.
It's got to be longer than that. I know I took a break for a while, but, you know, back in 2008 or so, 7 or 8, I think we were doing it, and then I took a break and then came back. So it's been a while.
So during this time, you know, we have talked about a lot of scenarios, a lot of investment information. But the thing that I guess that you know, and I'm a student as I talk about this because I'm not a financial planner. You've talked to me many times.
Yeah.
But you're an educator, and you've been doing this now for several years on television and on the radio program. You know, one of the things, if a person has been watching this show for several years, even several months, and their investment guy, I'll just use that term. Because a lot of folks use those terms, investment guy and financial planner interchangeably. We know it's a difference. Investment person. Yes, that's right. We have to be politically correct, don't we? Yeah. Because there are some, matter of fact, I have a neighbor that is a financial planner. So I do really have to be careful. But if they're not hearing all of this good information, my question is, why are they
still working with those people?
Right. Why are they still doing that? And
it's true. I mean, if you're hearing things on this show or watching things that are of interest to you, or, hey, I didn't know about that, or I didn't know I could be doing that, then you really should be getting a second opinion with somebody like me. You know, from day one, I've always wanted this show to be educational to the public. I don't do any selling on this show. You know, even though I make my living selling people on myself, you know, that I'm a good resource for them to handle their planning and their money and their taxes and everything else. But on this show, I made a decision early on. I wanted it to be educational for people. I wanted to educate the public. So, you know, that could be a negative by me pointing out, like last show we talked about phantom income, right, with the capital gains and dividends and the surprise 1099. So people may have a tendency to Google that or call their financial advisor and say, hey, I heard on the radio or TV about this phantom income. And so that's the risk I'm taking, you know, people hearing what I brought up that they didn't know about and then going to the people that they're working with that should have talked to them about it. And then they'll potentially say, oh, yeah, I could do that. Or, you know what I mean? So
Sure.
And then they end up helping the client with a tip that I gave the client. So I would just ask people to think twice. Wouldn't you want to be working with the person you're getting the information from originally as opposed to the person that should have given you this information years ago or when you started working with them or through the review process or whatever. You just got to think, hey, if you're going to a doctor and you go to the family doctor, the same person, we kind of talked about this off the air a little bit, and they didn't tell you about this one thing about you, and then you go to another doctor, and this doctor's like, wait, why isn't this addressed? Right? Why would you keep going back to the family doctor that poo-pooed or skipped over what this doctor thought was important enough to tell you? You got the same with financial advice. Why would you keep going back to the person that hasn't been giving you all the information that you should have?
Sure.
It's hard to change. I get it. They could be friends, and they could be doing a great job, and maybe the folks just weren't listening in meetings, or where the advisor did say something about it, but most don't. Brokers don't do tax planning, they'll say, well, we don't give tax advice, go talk to your CPA. Right? And the CPA and the broker never talk.
Sure.
Right? So it's the client goes to the CPA, hey, my broker, I'm looking for this, my broker said he can't help me or she can't help me, and it's just, you need to work with a certified financial planner professional that's versed in all the areas of financial planning, estate, income, taxes, investing. It's just makes sense. Why would you go to somebody that is kind of a one phase or one area specialist if they're a specialist at all?
Sure. Well, one of the things that I'm hearing, and you correct me if I'm wrong, when a family is working with you, you are looking at, as you just mentioned, you're looking at the taxes, you're looking at some of the attorney's type stuff, the wills and all of that, and making sure all of that flows together and makes sense for the financial plan. And then you're sitting there, if somebody has a lifestyle change, whether that's retirement, a death, whatever.
Injury, disability, relocation.
You have
change jobs. Somebody
you can pick up the phone, come in and talk to, and say, okay, these things are changing. Help me figure out the next step.
Yeah, we try and be of service all across the board. Even, car leases, car sales, property purchases, gifting to grandkids, helping a son or daughter out with a home purchase, paying for weddings, vacation. All these things, tie into the financial planning and the management of your money. Where should we get this money for our vacation? Should we take it out of our IRA? Should we take it out of our Roth? Should we take it out of our savings? Should we put a home equity line on and put it on that and then pay it off quickly over a few years? So that's, there's so much involved. It's not just investing.
Sure. Well, these are some things that we're going to talk. When I come back, if you don't mind, I'm going to try to pull together some things. If somebody is looking, or maybe they haven't had what they think is the best advice, or they just want a second opinion, what kind of things, when you sit down with them, how does this flow together, and what do you do? I mean, we've discussed this before, but it might be something.
We have new listeners, new watchers,
and something to take a look at. Now, if you're a new viewer to this program or a new listener to this program, take the time and call Wayne's office at 866-626-3990, 866-626-3990, or visit the website at todaysretirees.com. We'll be right back.
So we've all heard the word rollover when referring to an investment account at work, or your 401k, your 403b, your 457 plan. What do you do with that when you've left your job and your 401k or other retirement plan is still at your old employer? Or what if you've retired? And one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to leave your money, your retirement account, in your employer's 401k. Quite frankly, your old employer or current employer is the boss of your retirement account. So if you have questions about what to do with your rollover, you roll it to Wayne. Get it in your own hands, where you have the whole universe of investments and choices, not just what your employer tells you can pick from. So contact my office for a free consultation on how to roll over your old retirement account.
And welcome back to today's Retirees with Certified Financial Planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. If you were just with us in the last segment, we were talking a little bit about, your planner, your financial advisor, your investment person, whoever that person is, and what kinds of things are you learning on this show as opposed to maybe what you are learning with your other advisor?
Yeah, if there's any tidbits folks pull away from the show, they're like, hey, I didn't know that, or I didn't know I could be doing that. They got to ask themselves why. And it might be as simple as they don't go in for review as much, or as often as they should with their current people. But, more often than not, if their current person is not a certified financial planner professional, and I'll add to that a registered investment advisor, right? Because we're fiduciaries. I have to do what's in the client's best interest by law, both as a registered investment advisor, and I also have to do the same as a CFP, certified financial planner. So many people in my profession don't have to do what's in the client's best interest. Right? It's like car sales. Does a car salesman have to do what's in the client's best interest or the dealer's best? Imagine if car salespeople had to do by law what's in the client's best interest. I'd look forward to shopping for a car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It wouldn't be
So, and if they didn't, they get in trouble. So it would change that whole industry. Well, that's those are the boundaries I have to live in. And I like it, because why wouldn't I don't want to try and high pressure someone into an annuity or a mutual fund or some financial plan. That's just not how I do business. So if they are hearing things on the show that are new to them or interesting to them, or maybe think that it could help them, and they haven't heard about it, you reach out, come in for, discovery meeting. Let's see what you're doing. And I'll give you my 2 cents right at that meeting as far as, how I think I can help them, or if we should even have a second meeting.
Sure.
Folks don't have to bring anything in the meeting. I mean, they can, and they can bring statements and tax returns and trusts and wills, but we save that usually for future meetings.
Sure.
In the first meeting, I just want to know what they've done up to this point. What they've accumulated. What's updated, what's out of date, makeup of their family, what do they do for a living, where they live. Get their address and email address. Find out what they earn. Are they in debt? How much have they saved? Just general stuff, kind of like a snapshot, like up to this point, this is where these folks sit. And then I could look at that information at that meeting and see if it makes sense to have another meeting, and then get into the more emotional, touchy-feely stuff with the following meetings. Right. But the first meeting's really just factual, to the point. This is what we've done up to this point.
So let me ask to me it's a simple question. If I'm contemplating this, at what age should I start? I mean, is this a 30-year-old? I mean, I know you work mainly with near retirees and retired folks, but if someone's 45 years old and they've planned some stuff, but most 45-year-olds that I'm aware of, they're still, they've still got raising family and they're thinking about college and all of these kinds of things.
So and I have quite a few younger clients, and I get them either from social media marketing or their clients' children, adult children, and they do well. I mean, I have some young families and kids, I call them kids when they're in their 20s and 30s.
Sure.
That have a ton saved and no debt, and they work and they save, and they're on top of their taxes, and they have their future in mind. So there are people out there like that. It's not what a lot of folks think.
Sure.
And it's nice to see. It's nice to see a 30-year-old, 20-year-old, 30 or 40-year-old concerned about their future and saving, keeping debt low, it's just nice. So yeah, we love working with those people, and we'll work with folks. I do. It's called pro bono work, and the CFP board, Certified Financial Planning Board, they want us to report every year of people that I'm never going to make a penny on. They don't have any money. They're in debt. I'm not going to charge them a fee. I'll help them. I'm not going to spend a ton of time with them, multiple meetings, but I'll get them, do what I can, and help them get on track. Sure. No charge. So we don't screen them. Sometimes my girls will say, "Hey, this person wants to come in and see you. They don't have any money. They just want to ask you about when they should take their Social Security. Do you want to?" Yeah, I said, I'll meet with them. Sure. They try and say, protect me. I'm like, they don't have any money. That's okay. We will help the people. So yeah, all age groups, all people at all stages in life need guidance and need help, and we're happy to help. Sure.
Well, we're almost out of time. When we come back, we're going to shift gears a little bit, and we're going to talk about this wonderful thing that everybody says is hovering around 6% or something.
Oh, inflation.
But I read the other day, is this true? You would know this, that if we calculated inflation like we did, say, 15, 20 years ago, it'd be like 15%? Because they changed how they calculated it about 10 years ago or so?
No, I haven't heard that.
Okay.
I'd have a hard time believing that, but I mean, 6% mortgage is a 6% mortgage. It's not a 15.
He's telling me to quit watching these conspiracy shows.
Yeah. And in the next segment, I do want to talk about the inflation and do we have a recession or do we not? Are we in a recession? And I want to ask the folks how it's affecting them.
Sure.
And from what I see in traveling, on the streets, in the stores, in the airports, if there's a recession, I'd like to see what a normal economy looks like. Maybe I don't, but there's no way that it's as bad as folks are saying it is.
Okay.
And we'll talk about that on the other side. This is my opinion.
Right. When we come back, we'll get Wayne's opinion on the Federal Reserve. No, I'm teasing.
Not that.
About the inflation and other things. But we'll be back right after this. Take a few moments and go to Wayne's website, todaysretirees.com. Todaysretirees.com. We'll be back right after this.
Hi, my name's Wayne Maslyk. I'm a certified financial planner and owner and president of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. I'm making this video because I'd like to offer you, at no charge, a free newsletter that I send to all of my clients and prospects monthly. The newsletter is filled with little tidbits on investing and finances, and we have recipes. But most importantly, I write a personal message in there monthly, whether it's purchasing vehicles, whether it's investing your money, passing assets to your children, trying to lower your taxes, you name it. If it has to do with financial planning, it will be in a newsletter at some point. I keep the information light, though. It's not political. We're not talking economics, nothing like that. It's fun stuff, a little bit about my family monthly, client examples of how we can help people. We won't bug you. All you're going to do is get our monthly newsletter. We keep your information safe. We don't sell it. We don't give it to any other marketer. The sole purpose is to get the word out that I am the go-to source in this area for financial planning.
Welcome back to Today's Retirees with certified financial planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. On the last episode, or the last segment, I'll get it out, we were talking about, we had a little tease there about inflation. And Wayne was, he just came back on a little business trip, and all the airports are packed.
Try and book a flight, not last minute, but kind of last minute. It's...
Well, I was just hearing the news that, the spring break's coming up and all the airports are filled, and the prices of the spring break deals or there are no deals.
So I normally don't fly, but I'm trying to man up and do what men are supposed to do and not be a wimp. So I did fly last week, and I didn't want to Uber. There's a hotel. This was to Dallas, and from the airport to the hotel was like 50 minutes. Or so. I get car sick, so I wanted to rent a car. So last minute, decided to take the shuttle to the car rental place, and it's like a separate building in Dallas with like a dozen car rental places.
Oh, sure, it's a big town.
So I go right up to where I normally do any enterprise. No cars. Next one, no cars. No cars, no cars, no cars, no cars. No cars. No rental cars.
Wow.
Only the people that reserved them. And I couldn't believe it. So luckily, one of the rental car people knew someone that had a rental car business off-site. So they came and picked me up, and I said, I got lucky. But crazy. I mean, when have you ever been? I know the supply with cars because of COVID and all that, but the highways, when I drive back and forth to Florida, highways are packed, rest stops are packed, semis all over the place, and it's just, and even the stores, you go shopping on a Saturday, Sunday, the highways are around here, highways, the stores are packed. So I don't see the big recession pullback. And it may be evident in other places of the country. But one thing I did want to make clear, just because it is timely, is because of the risk of the recession, and we may be in a slight recession, we most likely are a mild one. So the Fed has been very aggressive raising rates to try and bring a soft landing to this recession and inflation. So just kind of ease our way out from the inflation, the inflationary conditions, and the supply chain issues. So he raised rates to slow things down.
Right.
People are panicking. The biggest hit for the inflation, and it's hovering around 6.5%, 7%, I think, as of December or January. Still high, but not 9 like it was back in June or July or whenever that is. So it's coming down, and it's projected to keep coming down. So the Fed raised rates aggressively to slow things down, right? Who's going to build a house with a 7% mortgage?
Well, you and I can remember when a 7% mortgage was a deal.
Yeah, but the people have been spoiled. People who had 2-3%ers, so they're not going to sell the house where they're paying 2 or 3% mortgage to get into one that's 7.
Sure.
So it's working. But with the Fed being so aggressive like that, yes, we're paying more for eggs and other types of food and energy, fuel, propane, all that stuff.
Sure.
But that's a small segment of our lifestyle. And when we have savers, especially people in retirement, that have CDs and fixed annuities and fixed index annuities, safe money that's not in the market, all those rates are higher now. Money market rates you can find now 3%. A lot of local banks are offering 4% CDs for 12 months, 13 months.
Sure.
Annuity rates out there are in the mid-5s for 3-year and 5-year. You get 10-year rates at 5.
Wow.
So what folks have to think about, and I'm really not going to be able to spend enough time on this show, we might have to do it next time, but is if I got $100,000 and I invest in a 4% CD or annuity for short term for a year, I'm going to make $4,000 on that 100.
Right.
A year ago, I couldn't get that. I would have got a 1%. If that. So I'm making an extra $3,000 in interest on per 100,000. I'm not sure people are spending an extra $3,000 a year on certain items of food or fuel.
Oh, I see where you're going. Okay.
Right? So they're most likely ahead of the game. And if they are, well, the 3,000 washes it out because it ain't much more than 3 for most people. If you have $200,000, you're able to move into something like that. Now you're making $6,000 more per year on that $200,000 than you could have a year or 2 years ago. So people that have money saved in low debt, this is a blessing for them.
Right.
And one thing I want people to think about, don't just think 1-year terms. Because if you can get a 5-year annuity or CD. I don't think you can get a CD for what we can get. Like annuities now for 5 years are 5.5%.
Okay.
So if you just get a 1 year one at 4, and then the year goes by, we don't know what rates are going to be a year from now.
Sure.
I don't know if you can get the 4 again.
Right.
It might be down to 3 a year from now. But if you get a 5 year now, we know you're going to get that 5.5% for 5 years.
For 5
so it
years.
doesn't matter what happens in the upcoming.
Right.
And we could even go 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 with
Okay.
CDs or fixed annuities.
Okay.
So if you can get a 10 year at 5, does it make sense to get a 1 or 2 year at 4?
Sure.
Or even stop at 5 with 5.5. Maybe the 5 for 10 is a better deal because I know I'm getting 5% compounded for 10 years. We haven't seen those rates in 20 years. So just folks should not be afraid to go longer term on money they know they could set aside
Right.
where they want a guaranteed rate of return with safe accounts that we haven't seen rates like that in 20 years plus.
Well, I remember on this program, a couple of years ago, you were sort of preaching this, that inflation, when it comes,
Yeah, don't be afraid of it.
is a saver's blessing.
Yes, and it truly is, as you can just look at the math.
Right.
If someone is living on 60 grand a year and some of those items go up in cost, like their food or energy or whatever, and some other things, it's not going up. If it goes up 5% more than usual on the whole 60 they're living on, that's 3 grand. But it's not on it's just on certain items of the 60,000 lifestyle.
Sure.
So some things are cheaper than they were a year or two ago. So it's not all bad, unless you have no money, or all your money's in the market, and you have a lot of debt, But if you have, low or no debt, money available to put in safe accounts with guaranteed rates, you are sitting good, and you should consider taking advantage of longer term accounts, not just the 12-month. Yes, it's good for your short-term money. If you're good 12-month, instead of having it in my savings, let's peel some out and put it in a 1-year CD. That's great, but also consider long-term also.
Sure. Well, this is why folks need to come and sit down with you, so that you can help them figure this out.
Yeah, if their advisor isn't saying what I'm saying, or they haven't heard this stuff, it's a red flag.
Sure.
Shop around a little bit and see if you can improve upon the advice you've been getting.
Absolutely. We're out of time. Go to Wayne's website at todaysretirees.com, todaysretirees.com. We'll see you the next time.
Thanks for tuning in to Today's Retirees with certified financial planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. Visit todaysretirees.com or call 866-626-3990 to schedule a no-cost appointment with Wayne. Today's Retirees is brought to you by Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management, family-focused retirement and tax planning services, anchored in family values. Information and opinions discussed on Today's Retirees do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this station. Opinions expressed should not be substituted for individualized consultation with a qualified financial advisor. For specific information, call 866-626-3990 or visit todaysretirees.com.